Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in your day. I hope it's been amazing. My name is KCole, and I just wanted to take a minute to talk about the professional dispositions of educators, as well as what a professional educator looks like and how they conduct themselves. To start, I do want to express that I strongly agree with all of the dispositions. They're there for a reason. They are truly what a good educator does. However, I do recognize that while I agree that they're important, I have weaknesses in some areas. But to start with my strengths, I feel that I have 3 real strengths when it comes to the professional dispositions: high expectations, reflection, and compassion. I have extremely high expectations for my students. My students know that when they come through the door, they are going to work. They're not going to be able to just say, I don't get it, and then I will feed them the answer. They know that even in just the questions that they ask, they have to ask a real question. They have to read the instructions, read the assignment, and then really pinpoint where they're struggling with that. I also include the students in setting the learning outcomes. At the beginning of every unit, we look at what the final product is going to be. We look at the rubric and the assignment. And the students then take that apart and figure out exactly what skills they're going to need in order to be successful on that final product. Once we've figured out the skills that they need, we can make every single day important and rigorous, because they know that these are the skills they're going to need for the final product. This day is focused on this skill, and therefore they have high expectations every single day. I'm an extremely reflective teacher, and that's probably been my biggest strength from day one of my career. I've always looked inward when my kids have struggled, and I've always been confused by teachers that don't look inward, that teachers that have huge fail rates and don't realize that that is something that maybe is fundamentally wrong with their classroom, and that they have a hand in how they assess kids and how they teach kids. And so I've always been extremely reflective. Another way that I'm reflective is I'm blessed enough to be able to go into all my colleagues' classrooms. I'm the AVID coordinator and I'm the PBIS coordinator. So I have a lot of different reasons to be in the classrooms of my colleagues. And when I'm there, I'm not just there as the AVID coordinator and I'm not just there as the PBIS coordinator. I'm there as a fellow teacher who's really just excited to learn new methods of doing things so that I can take those and integrate them into my own teaching style, my own personality, and really have them make an impact and an influence in my classroom. Compassion is a driving force in my career choice. I chose to be a teacher, and specifically I chose to work in a at-risk school, in a low socioeconomic school, because I saw growing up in that same kind of environment what those kids need the most: love, a cheerleader, encouragement, patience, second chances. They need to be able to make a mistake and not fail. They need to be able to make a lot of mistakes and still find a way to not fail. I bring that compassion to my job. I love on my kids. I have a heart for my kids, and they know when they come in this class that they are my kids. So those are the dispositions that I feel most strong, that I am strongest at. There are 2 areas that I know I need a little bit of work on. And the first one is fairness. And while I know that fairness is probably one of the most important dispositions, I also feel like it's an area of growth for me, but I feel like it should never not be an area of growth for me. The minute I think that I'm 100% fair is probably the minute that I'm failing kids. The world changes so quickly. Social media changes kids. Content changes from year to year. The kids that walk in your door change from year to year. How could I ever feel like I've accomplished true fairness when there are so many moving variables all the time? So I really feel that while this is an area of growth, it's always going to be an area of growth, because it's just an ongoing and continual growth for any teacher to just ensure that they're being fair. And I'm going to mess it up. And even when I think I have it right, I'm going to mess it up. And that goes back to the reflection piece, that I need to be reflective on where I messed up with the fairness so that I can improve it next time. The other area that I know I need to work on is the curiosity piece. And this is actually something that my administrators and I came up with as a professional goal for me this year. I really struggle with the idea of bringing inquiry into the classroom and not just like saying, hey, let's read this story and analyze it. The idea of the kids coming up with a question and researching it, and it's overwhelming, to be honest. And so that is definitely an area that I need to improve in. I need to be able to let go of some of that control. I need to figure out a way to start with inquiry. Let the kids take some control while I kind of play puppet master from above. And that's a challenge, and that's scary, and I know that's an area of growth. And so I look forward to working with my administrators this year to try to make that possibly one day a strength. Lastly, professional educators. What do they look like? What do they do? How do they live? What's their standard? Your attire is the least important thing, in my opinion, for a professional educator. And hear me out. Every day is different. Some days it's college swag day and you have to wear your college swag. Some days you have a kid who did really well in your class and you promised him that if he did really well, you'd do PE with him. So you have to be dressed for that. Some days you have an art project. Some days it's dress to impress. Some days it's crazy hair day and you have to just go wild to encourage the school spirit on your campus and participate in spirit weeks. A professional educator doesn't look like just one thing and one dress code. It's really less about what you look like and more about the intangibles and the invisibles that you put on every morning. Every single morning, I have to actively put on my patience. If you've ever worked with 7th and 8th graders, you know what I am talking about. You need a lot of patience. Every single morning, I need to wake up and I need to say that these kids need a fresh start today. And I'm going to put on my patience and I'm going to give them that fresh start. As far as a code of conduct for me, the professional dispositions are an amazing place to start. The code of ethics are an amazing place to start. But really, truly, the golden rule is where I start. I'm a mother of 3. I don't treat any child in my classroom in a way that I would be infuriated with if a teacher treated my child that way. That's very, very important to me. And that's how I make every decision. I look at these kids and I know that they're somebody's child. And who am I to treat them any differently than I would want my own children to be treated? It's been a pleasure to be in this class. It's been a pleasure to challenge my ideals on teaching and what being a professional educator is. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.